How's it going, everybody? Today is Wednesday. We are starting the first job of June. It's another septic project. No tank or pump chamber, just a leach field. It's an old infiltrator system that failed. It's actually not that old. I think it's from like 2016, if I recall correctly. But it's already in failure. Which is pretty common for these infiltrator systems. I've come across it quite a bit where they don't last very long if they're not installed correctly. And this is one of those situations. This job has been on my radar since the winter, I think, like January, February, and the homeowner now is just getting around to putting it in. You have to get plans done and all that stuff, get all that worked out. So we're doing that today, starting that off. It's a little bit of a weird, I shouldn't say a little bit, it's a lot of bit of a weird piece of property. It's got a nice flat spot to where the tanks are. But where the leach field is, it has like it goes up in terraces, and the leach field's sitting up there, so essentially it's higher than the house in elevation, and then it terraces again to another terrace. So we're working in a really small envelope. Unfortunately, the homeowner does have a bunch of landscaping on that first terrace that we're gonna have to rip out and redo or whatever. I won't handle that scope, but and then there's a small rock retaining wall that's at that first terrace by the tanks that most likely will be affected. We'll try our best not to, but it most likely will be. And then that second terrace next to the leach field has a retaining wall as well that is going to be coming out, and we're going to be ripping that one out today, stockpiling it to save it, and then the landscaper is going to come in and fix that and build it to whatever grade is there after the septic. I met with him. He was talking about possibly having me help him with my equipment there, which is fine. Just getting him started. So we might be doing that. We might not. I'm not too sure yet. And there is a possibility of some Karens on this job already, believe it or not. Yesterday I moved equipment around. Didn't film that just because there's not much going on there. But the way the neighborhood's set up, you can come in one end and go out the other. So essentially with a trailer, you don't really have to back it up to go out the same way you came in. You can just drop the machine and loop back around. So I dropped the Mini off first, went back to the shop, did a couple things, and then later on in the day, I don't know, maybe 3 o'clock, went and dropped the skid steer off, and I dropped it at the house, looped back around to the exit area, and I'm sitting at a stoplight or a stop sign. Some car was pulling in as I was pulling out, sitting at the stop sign, and had my truck windows down. Oh, there's a buzzard in the road or something. What the heck is that? Roadkill. I'm sitting at the stoplight, and someone else is pulling in. My windows are down, and she's like, "Hey, what are you guys? Who are you guys? What are you doing? Are you an excavator?" I said, "Yeah." And I had the truck going the whole time. I mean, it's a diesel, so it's like the whole time. I could barely hear her. She's on the other side of the road. It's some old lady. She's like practically whispering. I can't even hear her. And she's like, "What are you guys doing? Are you an excavator?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "What are you excavating? And where are you guys working?" I said, "Oh, we're working over there." I gave her, told the street. And I'm like, "We're doing a leach field." She's like, "Oh, okay, a septic, okay." And she's like, "Well, yeah, I saw you coming in and out of here a whole bunch, and was just checking in and seeing what's going on, making sure you're working here." I don't know if that's exactly what she said, because like I said, I couldn't really hear her, but I think she said something along those lines. And I was like, "Yeah, we're working over there where all the equipment is." And she's like, "Okay, well, make sure you grade the leach field away from the house when you're done, because remember, there's houses below you and blah blah blah." And I'm like, I don't think this lady lives anywhere near where I'm working, and the yards are spaced out, so it's not like if I pitched it one way or the other, it's going to go into someone's yard. It's a pretty straightforward site as far as that goes. What the heck? As far as that goes, so I'm like, great, we already have problems there. Hopefully she doesn't become a problem, but there's a possibility we may run into some Karens. So we'll see what goes on, see what kind of trouble we can get into. But yeah, that's what we got going on today. We will pick this back up at the job site, and I'll show you guys what we got going on. Stay tuned. Alright guys, so we're here on the job site. That's where the tanks are. That's that flat spot I was talking about. And that's that first retaining wall. All that landscaping on that hill. It most likely is going to be affected because the existing leach field is right here. See the vent down there? It's not a very big area, and proposed leach field is actually a little bit bigger than this area, so we're going to have to cut into that hill, which has a wall in it. We're going to have to spill some dirt over this way to widen it up a little bit so we can fit it in right down this alleyway. So all this is coming out, that's coming out. We're going to leave that wall if we can, but that might come out too. Yeah, where the mini's sitting, nothing's going up there. I just parked it up there. Wow, these mosquitoes are terrible here. Holy crap. Yeah, I'm gonna figure out how to stockpile the material, probably along this edge, and then where I'm standing, probably have to. It drops down here quite a bit, so probably have to ramp it, but we'll figure it out. It's not the first time I've done a tight site, not the last one either. So I'm gonna start this morning by ripping that wall out, and probably start getting the old system out. I realized this morning I forgot all my batteries, so I'm gonna have to use this one sparingly, so might not catch everything like I should, but we'll see. Alright, see you guys in a bit. Alright, so we got this wall moved and moved up there. Put back when we're done. Now we're going to start digging up this old leach field. The end of it starts over here, where this vent is. Right here. So we're going to try to find the old one and kind of see where we're at for space, and then set it up from there and start running it that way. We'll move it as we go. I don't know, stockpile the old field down there somewhere, probably where that sand spot is, and we'll get a dumpster in here to get rid of it all and prep for the new one. So stay tuned for that. As you guys can see, the old infiltrators are doing nothing but hold the water. That happened over here when we first started digging, but not that much. I think this is pretty much going to drain most of the field. All you can see in this one right here, there's a bunch of black stuff coming out of it. But this is all the water that was being held in there, caused us to fail. You can see this, the sand right there, the soils are black, which means they're starving for oxygen. Even though it had a vent in here, those gills on the domes is what kills these systems. Is those gills plug up and they can't breathe, and they just starve up for oxygen. So yeah, that's a lot of water. I'm gonna dig this whole field back, everything exposed, and then probably have to get back down here to the machine and dig out to elevation, dig out the bad sand, see what we have for sand. I'm not even sure we have that much sand in here. And then call for our inspection, our first inspection. But yeah, wow, it's still going. Holy crap. Stinky, stinky. Alright, we're gonna move that material behind the excavator and we'll keep going. Update on this one, we got it pretty much all roughed in here. As you guys can tell from the last, or one of the previous digging scenes, was this was all filled up with water when we hit those infiltrators. So I dug out the whole field to rip out the old infiltrators, let everything drain, get all the muck and stuff in water to drain down. And then I went back in and now digging out my bottom pit to expose the subsoils. Normally what we do on a repair like this with an old infiltrator system, or really an old leach field, is we'll try to dig out the contaminated sand, the wet sand, which is usually about a foot down, keep the rest, and then bring in some fresh stuff. But here, there was no sand underneath this system at all, and I'm not sure what this purple stuff is, but this is definitely was not put in the right way by whoever did it last. Like, this stuff is not good. I mean, you can see water's ponding right there, which won't be a problem if you bring in the correct amount of sand, but there's like no sand in this system at all to even save. So that's a little bit of a problem. And probably what most likely caused the failure in the first place. So yeah, we're digging out this this bottom pit before we bring in our sand. We got the inspector coming out hopefully this weekend, and sand coming in for Monday. So yeah, that's gonna be kind of what's going on here. Running out of room here. I got this crap that I was digging out over there. It's all wet and crappy. We got this stuffed right here. We got a bunch of stuff down there. It's getting tight here, but we're gonna continue digging this bottom pit out, and I'll catch you guys in a little bit.